Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for spending some time with me today. Now, there are two major differences that are going to happen in the next couple of weeks as we transition out of the post spawn into the summer. Now, the first thing is the bait selection. In the post spawn, in the month of May, it's all about a swim jig for me. Now, most of my fishing career, a spinner bait was the best post spawn lure, but as we've invented more of those kicking craw style trailers, a swim jig has really taken the place of the spinnerbait in a lot of different situations for me. You know, you can make a white swim jig up, put a rage craw or some kind of big craw trailer on there and make your bait kick and pulse and gives off a lot of that same action as a spinnerbait. You can just throw it in a lot more different conditions. But as we get into the summer, it is more about a topwater bait, and preferably a frog or a spook are my two favorite topwaters in the month of June. And then what you will also see is how the fish are going to set up. So in the post spawn, you never really know if you're around a group of fish or it's just going to be a single. You know, was that just one fish that swam its own direction away from the group out of its spawning area and just set up on a good looking spot and you caught him and then you didn't know what you were on? Or was it a whole group? But that's the mystery about the post spawn, is that you don't really know what you're on. Are there a bunch of fish there or is it just one? As you get into the summer, typically you're going to find groups of fish. Now, they can be shallow, they can be deep, but typically they're getting to a spot that they're going to spend most of their summer on, and those schools are going to build. So it can be very confusing once we get in these last couple weeks of May, get into the beginning of June. Are your fish in the post spawn or in the summer? And do you have a mixture of both? Because you will still have some fish spawning depending on where you're at in the country or depending on what kind of fish you have. So if you have, let's say, spotted bass in your lake and you've had rains and floods and there's been a ton of current, those spots are going to spawn on the main river. And if you have too much current, they'll just wait. I mean, they'll wait till June to spawn. And the same thing goes for if you have those Florida strain bass. You know, maybe you're down in the state of Florida, or they've released those F1 Tiger Florida strain bass in your lake. Those fish can spawn in like 80-degree water. You know, that's a Florida bass, and Florida bass will spawn 82 degrees, about the warmest I've ever seen. If you have those in your lake on Lake Chickamauga, sometimes you'll see the biggest bass on the lake, those Florida strain, spawning in the month of June. So it doesn't necessarily mean that all the fish in your lake are in the summer, all your fish are in the lake are in the post spawn. You still have a mixture of everything going on. So when I find fish in a group in the month, end of May, beginning of June, typically the best way to catch them one after another is with a topwater walking bait, my favorite being the Super Spook. And that's just the best way to load the boat. You know, you can obviously catch a bunch of fish on a buzzbait this time of year, but it just seems like when you have fish that are starting to group up, they're basically schooling on a piece of structure, a spook first thing in the morning, you know, topwater in the morning, the best time to throw it at when everyone loves to throw it. You can start your day out on a spot where you can load the boat. Very important this time of year, because the rest of your day, you might be fishing more post-spawny type things. You know, there might not be a whole lot of fish summered up yet. So a lot of different patterns are going on. Very important to not get too dialed in on one thing, because there's so many things going on. But my favorite way to fish for a group of fish first thing, if you've got them in with less than 5 feet of water over the top of their head, a Super Spook is the best way. That's really the best way I've ever caught them in the month of, or the end of May, early June, other than the fall when they are grouped up, and a topwater walking bait is the best way to catch them. So try that, guys. Good luck to you, and I'll see you on the water.